I am the Senior Strategic Partner Manager and APAC lead for the business here. So my sole responsibility is, I'm very fortunate, I get to work with the top agencies in this region to really figure out from a CX perspective how to drive growth for businesses, but also how they can really get ahead through key factions such as BFCM. And I know recently, especially this week, I'll get to it in a second, there's been some huge updates when it comes to the world of AI, when it comes to the world of automation, and how businesses can interpolate that into their workflows to succeed. It's a really, really interesting time in our space right now. One, with the economical macro piece, but also when it comes to how people are thinking strategically from a systems perspective as to what they're going to do and really how they can get the best from their team and the best for their customers. So what I'm really, really excited to present to you today is, from the Gorgias perspective, some top CX tips, which hopefully should help you with your Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategy. And this is going to focus predominantly within that Gorgias ecosystem, but also just have, with no matter what provider you are using for your CX, a few key instances of how you should be looking at your team, your customers, and really understanding how you can provide the absolute best for them. Now, the thing I mentioned is obviously the huge news coming out of this week, which is Shopify and OpenAI's strategic partnerships, as well as that automated payment option coming through with their partnership with Stripe. This will be covered also a little bit later in our sessions today, but I think what the key faction here to remember is agentic commerce is probably a buzzword that a lot of you have heard already, but significantly, it's something that you should now really, really be paying attention to. This partnership will be rolling out in the US first before moving on to all global markets. But I think the fact that it's no longer just a pure opportunity with OpenAI to use ChatGPT for personal, for business, for progression and operations, this is now turning into its entirely own sales channel of how you can get ahead with that. Unfortunately, we've got some great speakers who'll be able to cover a lot of this today. But from our perspective, this is what Gorgias has been focused on for a long period of time. Even at the back end of 2023, early 2024, we realized that there was a fundamental shift in the way that customers were engaging with businesses. And whilst it isn't necessarily through that singular channel of OpenAI, it's now becoming a conversation. We're finding that customers on average are asking 3 to 5 more questions directly to a brand before a purchase is made. And obviously that's hugely impacting the way that businesses are looking to engage with their customers and having to be incredibly more proactive with how they're going to get ahead to make sure that consumers consistently feel confident to purchase from their business and to make sure that that loyalty faction really sits in as a top priority to provide the best experience for them as well. Now, if we're just going to imagine what that new partnership will do, we believe that discovery, purchase, and the second order all comes into light. And there are so many different channels that you can access with this. But ChatGPT shopping is really going to be a big piece of where we view this potentially happening. And I'm really interested to see when this does get rolled out, particularly in our own region here in APAC, but also just the results from the US, what percentage growth businesses are going to be able to experience when it comes to that individual product and not just any sort of request for brand image and loyalty there. What are you doing from a product perspective that's going to be able to drive you forward? But this doesn't just flow with an OpenAI. This might scare some people with the fact that having worked so hard on your brand, then now is potentially this other option where that doesn't matter anymore. We disagree with that. We actually think that it's going the other way. And agentic commerce will not just be within this singular channel. It will reflect across all of the different ways that you engage with a business, whether it be socials, on-site, direct chat, or within ChatGPT. All of this is going to come about. And the way that you can get ahead is by understanding how AI is going to converse with your customers as well. This isn't just ChatGPT. It's now thinking, when it comes to a customer engaging with my business, how can I leverage an AI agent to really converse with customers in a way that's going to make them trust me and not have their initial hesitations that a lot of us have seen over the last 12 months. And of course, when it comes to the second order, we all know LTV needs to be in a strong position with CAC at the price it is. So when it looks at follow-ups, how are you getting ahead? How are you being proactive? And you'll see that a lot of providers today are really focused on providing the toolkit to make sure that you can keep up with that demand. Now, I said this earlier on, it's an expectation. It's no longer just becoming a requirement, an option. It's become an absolute requirement that conversational AI is expected by consumers. No longer is someone happy to wait 12 to 24 hours to get a simple answer on a product that they're looking at. They expect immediate answers to then have the confidence, as well as starting a conversation with the brand to ensure that they have the trust to continually purchase. From the results that we've seen, around 60% of customers already use AI to shop. And that's a really, really interesting reflection when you look at that versus last year's results, because people really are making the most of this to get themselves either the best deal, the most related product, or the highest quality that they can with the trust that you're presenting as a business. And this is what we've really focused on with now over 7,000 businesses with Gorgias. We have built an AI agent which was released in July of last year, which now is working across both support as well as sales functionality as well. That idea of proactivity is something that we've really focused on, and we've seen some incredible success stories come out of this with those who we've worked closely with to ensure that they can leverage the tools that we've provided their business. We're seeing things such as up to a 50% automation rate across all support and sales queries, which you can imagine from a team and operational perspective is having a huge impact on how people engage, but also how the team can make the most of those instances. And a big part of AI is versus that human piece, we have been able to save over 300K for some businesses on average when it comes to how they're looking at their CX team. 60% cost reduction, that is a huge amount, as well as a 70K revenue uplift. No longer is AI just being used for all things within the framework of support. We're now actually able to bring in that sales component when it comes to a GMV uplift as well. Now, the BFCM challenges are obviously rife across all different areas of the business. And what I really want to lean into today, coming from that Gorgias aspect and what I've seen, is from a CX side, this is often a period that causes high stress for many people involved internally within a business, purely because of that natural increase in tickets, the requests that customers have, and the worry that if they don't operate and respond fast and correctly, they are going to lose the opportunity to sell to the customers who are aware that there's a lot of discounts available in market. So the real question is, how are you making your CX work so that you can be above everyone else in the choices that your consumer makes? And that first one is what I'm going to take you through today. I've got three primary areas where I believe that a CX piece like Gorgias will be able to really help you to get ahead, but not just get ahead, actually feel confident that it's going to be able to drive revenue rather than just relying on any social activity. And the first issue that I see a lot of businesses run into is purely that volume and frequency piece. You know, when a conversation's happening, we see BFCM, it's no longer just a 9 to 5 purchase rate. A lot of people are coming home looking at deals. It's a 24-hour system where if you don't have someone replying to them until early the next morning, you've potentially lost out on a lot of opportunities that sit within that. You can see here from the heat map that we've taken on average from our consumer base, and a lot of those purchases are happening outside of business hours during that BFCM period. And we view that as a massive opportunity. If you're able to leverage the right tools, you can see the growth in terms of what customers are agreeing with when it comes to a 79% increase in fast, helpful responses, increasing their likelihood to purchase, and a 2.3x higher engagement and conversion for customers who engage with the brand. Now, the solution. I think a lot of providers are offering what could be a great toolkit for you when it comes to an AI agent piece. AI agents are no longer a new piece. They are actually a requirement for businesses to be able to keep up with the demand that they might be experiencing. And with Gorgias, we have leaned in really, really hard through our database of over 16,000 customers to be able to start with a foundational agent that can really understand how CX and what good CX truly means. And with that, we've been able to customize it in a way that you can truly tailor it to your business with your tone of voice, your standing operating procedures, which obviously is so variable between each business, and with the help center that you're able to work on. With this, it provides full customization. And what that means is, whether it be with Gorgias or not, you should be looking at how you can build an agent that's going to be able to answer anywhere from 30, 60, we've got even some businesses up to 80% of the total volume of tickets can now be handled by an AI agent that you as a business have confidence in will give customers the right fast answer that's going to really help them feel confident to make that purchase. And we've gone one step deeper with this as well. Gorgias doesn't just sit as an LLM model, it sits as a large action model as well. Because of our work with Shopify, who actually is a primary investor in Gorgias, we've been able to enable not only just actions within that Shopify sphere, but also among all of the tech apps that you might be using. And you can see there's some really critical opportunities here, such as the updated shipping address, reship orders, remove and replace items, but also the next shipment. Maybe there might be some options here where natively a request from a consumer and customer can be looked after entirely by AI throughout that entire process. This has been a massive pickup for so many brands because it allows you to have confidence that it's not just AI answering, which then leaves you with another task to do when it comes to fulfilling an action. Everything can be autonomous for you, which means for your CX team, you're focusing on the high value conversations that are going on that can more lead to sales and further opportunities, while all of the operational requests that you're receiving from customers can now be looked after to a certain extent with AI. And I think even if it isn't Gorgias, really focus on understanding what your frequency is, have a look at last year's results, and also what that response time and resolution time really was for your business. If you are getting within 1 hour across everything and a resolution time of under 3, I would say you are in a really strong position. But keep tinkering, keep figuring out what those frequently asked questions are. And really, to that previous point, understand what your help center is. AI gives people a lot of dissatisfaction when it doesn't have the data to eloquently articulate what you would like to present to a customer. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. So the big tip from this piece is focus a lot of time with your team to understand the FAQs and understand what the successful help has been, to put that and push that into its modality and allow the data to really be understood by your AI agent. The second piece is that personalization. It's a big trigger word and it has been for many, many years, but how is a customer feeling worked with and tailored to when it comes to what you're able to do to personalize your entire journey for them? And we've seen this in the results that we took last year. 70% of buyers drop off if they encounter friction. It may be something more detailed, such as product request, product explanation with what materials or SKU range you may have, but also things such as, if they're unable to understand what your shipping requirement is, or what the threshold for free shipping might be. All of these different examples, they don't have that information to access, is going to push them away from moving to another business to purchase their goods. And a huge factor here, 53% of buyers feel unsupported by the brand that they're potentially purchasing from. Again, if you're waiting 4, 6, 7 hours to get a response from a business, no longer are you going to be competing for that customer's business. You're actually just going to be seeing a significant amount of drop off from the traffic that you're getting online and the cost that you've done to acquire them. But then when it comes to it, you'll really start to understand there's such an opportunity here if I can just get back to them faster. And the solution, and well, you can see here from the revenue left on the table, we've seen over 40% of all tickets are now pre-sales inquiries. That's a huge shift from a post-sale need to a pre-sale customers asking more questions to want to understand what's going on. And your CX team is the one who handles that availability, recommendations, or policies questions. What if you've got an agentic capability that can look after a significant amount of that workload to really get ahead? And that's the solution. And particularly what Gorgias has been working on very, very hard this year is what the sales functionality is, which is our new shopping assistant. Now, this is something that's active on your live chat with the imagination through proactivity and specific campaigns throughout this site and journey that a customer is taking. Any question they might have will be able to be immediately answered through a consultative manner that you have trained this AI agent to do. Now, I've seen this and obviously worked with a number of businesses in real time to make sure that Shopping Assistant is performing for them. And you can tailor it through a number of different options. You've got the ability to know where the evaluation stage happens and where customers are coming from. But then you've also got things such as purchase intent, which is obviously a huge piece. If AI is going to pick up on a support question, you don't want it trying to sell a customer. And vice versa, if a customer's asking for more questions, it's not just a traditionally cadenced support query. This needs to be personalized towards what they're looking at. And this is all of the different categorizations that we provide to this AI agent to be able to really understand what the customer is doing. And there's 4 key areas that really this is going to benefit your business. You've got search to revenue. Search and merchandising is obviously such a huge piece, and there's some great providers with us that we work closely with. But imagine that you now are able to, on the live chat, directly access specific key words. And that might be eczema, baby acne, diaper rash, these great examples that I have here in front of me. But have a think about your business and what those keywords might be that really you can start to recommend specific products off the back of keywords that customers might type or click on. Proactive assistance. Maybe there's been a customer on a PDP for 45 seconds to a minute. You know that they're probably going to be interested in that product and are actually reading more information on it. What if you had the ability, rather than a traditional pop-up, but through that live chat to offer further support with key questions that you can tailor towards what that product is based off the FAQs that you've received historically? Is there a travel size? There's a great example there. This might be someone who's looking for something smaller or larger. You can put in different size options, and you've got the ability to really cadence this through. The personalized recommendations is where it starts to get really interesting from an agentic capability. You can tailor, which I'll get to in a second, a specific strategy for each customer and each way that you want to look at what you're going to be able to offer them. Maybe you might have 2 or 3 questions that you want AI to ask before you start recommending products. Or maybe you've got some bundled options that you want to really put in front of customers, which is when they make a purchase, you're now going to be able to do. And the best part about all this, because obviously you don't want AI operating completely autonomously, you want to be able to have a strong overview of what it's doing. And Gorgias is allowing you through that training module, as well as discounts and persuasion strategies, to really tailor it towards what your business needs. Right now, we've got selling style and discount strategies, but you'll see a whole host of new feature sets coming out that really allows you to personalize it towards your business. Now, that third piece, this isn't just from an external capability. A lot of what the stress of BFCM comes about from for CX and e-com teams is the fact that with a huge amount of demand and frequency of tickets, you cannot keep up with that request. And it doesn't just affect the customer. For CX teams, you can see the examples of overload means there's less time truly for meaningful engagements. You don't want your team during this period to focus on potential reshipping or updated shipping addresses. You want them to be having strong conversations with customers that are really going to bring about a sale. And for e-commerce teams, it means the same thing. If you're focused on what your marketing spend is, the last thing you want is to have a high cost to acquire a customer, but then them leave when you're not answering the questions that they're truly asking for. Now, you can probably immediately think about how your business is handling this capacity issue. And the solution really comes about from us within 2 to 3 key areas. When you look at priority scoring, let's see if this is going to work for me. Gorgias now allows you to really set up some rules. So even outside of any autonomous workflow, you can start to prioritize what is going to be the highest ticket queries for you. It's no longer just going to be for based off time. Maybe there's a customer looking for a specific purchase, or there may be customers that are asking key questions. You can set up rules within Gorgias to make sure that your agents within your inbox have every high value ticket at the very top of their demand, or chart, I should say. Now, as well, we've gone even deeper with AI automations in one click. You'll see that this was released just last month. And going back to the embedded actions that we were talking about, it's no longer just a simple action that we can take. We can go significantly deeper to make sure that when customers are asking questions, autonomously, they're getting details through actioned items, not just a conversational piece. And I think when it comes to it, that's going to be a really, really important thing to consider if you're focused on high value conversations. You need to have trust in those back end operational sides really being covered by something that you can trust. And now you have a full, even more in-depth period of the customer's timeline. Again, going back to understanding where they came from, what they were doing. As an agent, you want to be able to hop on and really understand at what stage of the purchase journey the customer is, whether it be pre or post sale. You've got the options to look at their orders, to look at their tickets, but also from the customer profile available on that right-hand side, really get into detail with them so that it's a truly personalized journey for that customer. And now let's focus on what we're looking at and why we're really, really making sure that all of our customers can benefit from an AI agent, this BFCM. The fact that we're built for Shopify is obviously a huge piece. There'll be a lot of Shopify merchants that are listening here today, and I cannot wait to see who and what people are going to do when it comes to these native actions that we've built in. When it comes to that sales side with Shopping Assistant as well, the conversion rate increase that we've seen on average sits at about 22% for those who've engaged with Shopping Assistant to really boost the conversion that you're taking live, as well as being far more proactive with your upselling opportunities too. We all know that, when it comes to what your average cart value sits at, a lot of people need that to really replace the margin that you may be losing from the discounts that you offer over that period of time. And internally, you want that operational excellence. You want your team to get to the end of this period and feel really proud of the work that they've done, rather than just being completely burnt out and losing revenue that's on the table because of the fact that they've just been too busy with that high demand of tickets. And these are the main ones to really, really focus on. And don't worry, I will be sharing this slide, and you can see that Anna has kindly also put in the survival guide that we have, which we released last month for all things CX for BFCM. But really understand and look back at the data that you've achieved last year. Maybe you had a fantastic Black Friday, Cyber Monday. What were you doing from an operational standpoint that was driving you forward in that faction, in that perspective? And also forecast, really understand at what times consumers are purchasing, at what periods they might be interested to engage. Maybe you've got a whole host who are looking at these opportunities and products in mid-November because they know that the BFCM period is coming up. And this is a way for you to get more proactive and make sure that you can confirm that sale. And these three areas, I think, is a great way to summarize this talk. Focus on replying to tickets, not looking across info for all of your tools. Through the integrations that Gorgias has, we now have over 150 active across your entire tech stack. Really make sure that everything's working together to put you in the best opportunity to succeed. And when it comes to those surging tickets, leverage the fact that AI is now here. Agentic commerce, conversational commerce, all of these different factions are now available for you to use with a whole host of providers, including Gorgias. And when it comes to that sales opportunity, now use that agentic capability to get ahead. Don't just use it for support. Figure out how you can integrate that into your team's workflow. As an e-com manager, look at how AI has benefited your conversion rates already and where the opportunities might be that sit within the business. Now, just to give you an example of why. Brands that embrace AI agent are getting huge benefits. Yes, that is a big statement to make. But we've seen this with the results that we've achieved with a whole host of different businesses. A 27% increase in orders, a 66% increase in chat automation rate, which, as you can imagine from a team perspective, is a huge impact that you're able to have. And revenue per chat. If someone's hopping onto the live chat, what if you were able to say, as soon as someone engages with a business through live chat, you're able to add $2 onto the average order value that you're increasing. Now multiply that by your customer base, and suddenly you've got a conversation around how this can directly impact your P&L and your results that you're going to achieve from this period. Now, the human AI role, we have run out of time, so I will hurry up with this, but I would just really remember that you cannot expect AI to do everything for you. And this is why we're now hosting D2CX at this time, to give you that runway to really focus on how you can integrate AI's capabilities within your team's workflows. And this is where the supervision and training, strategic analysis, as well as the knowledge management is really going to come in. The one issue that I see with people who tell me this isn't working right now is mainly around that knowledge management piece. If AI doesn't have the data and the understanding of your business, it's not going to be able to drive the results for you that a lot of others are now being able to achieve. Perfect. I have just created a quick QR code, but I will also be sharing this presentation after. And I'd really recommend you take a look through this, click into either your Gorgias account or directly get in touch with us to organize a conversation. Even if it's just from a recommendations perspective, we would be more than happy to help when it comes to really making sure that you can get ahead this BFCM.